Good evening, everybody. It's your boy Kentario, and I'm back again for another episode of Christ and Comic Books. And today, we're getting into Shonen Jump. I wanted to try something new here with you guys, and that's going to be me looking into the Shonen Jump mobile app. I actually downloaded that so I can kind of be up to par on what's new mangas coming out. That way I can be prepared to add something new to the collection, right? So one of the things that I actually wanted to start doing is I'm going to read 3 chapters into some of the newest manga that hasn't been produced here in America yet and do a review on each of those series. So I'm going to do 3 with you guys today, and if you really like what I'm doing by reviewing these books, I will continue doing that with more and more new series. So let's get into it. Here are the 3 series that we're going to be reviewing in today's video. One of the first ones that we're going to do is going to be Undead Unluck. We're also going to be looking at Kaiju number 8, along with that Chainsaw Man, which is actually one of the bigger hitting manga series to have came out of Shonen Jump here recently. So let's start with Undead Unluck. I was actually kind of surprised to find out that Undead Unluck was actually so very good. The main character, Andy, he is a zombie that's been alive for a very long time. He has the date of 1886 tattooed on his chest, so I think that might have been around the time when he got his abilities, but you can't kill him. The thing about Andy isn't actually a zombie. He can just regenerate from any amount of damage that he takes. There are several scenes where you'll see him with no legs, you'll see him with no arms, you definitely will see him with no clothes because of how often that happens. But in the midst of him, of course, being free as he is, he comes across a young lady named Fuko. And Fuko was looking to end her life because she has this bad luck ability to where anyone who makes contact with her ends up experiencing some level of bad luck. So, with that being said, she goes to kill herself. He notices what her abilities are, makes physical contact, and then he ends up getting killed by a train running over him instead of the train running over Fuko. So what happens is, Andy wants to be able to finally die, and he thinks he can fulfill that by following along with Fuko, and maybe Fuko could get him killed. So turns out that there is an enemy group of hunters that are hunting down people like Fuko and people like Andy, which turns out they are called Negators, or otherwise known as Umo. And this organization is looking to keep them captured and or use them to take out other Umo, which again are called Negators. So Fuko calls her ability the Unluck. Depending on the level of contact that you make with her will determine the outcome of what happens. She even gives you her backstory where what happened when she was a child, her parents were leaving to go on a vacation. And of course they kiss her goodbye, and then in kissing her goodbye they get on a plane and the plane crashes, killing everyone on the plane plus her parents. And this sparks the idea for Andy, so you mean that I have to make more physical contact with you for me to be able to actually die? So he's playing off of this mindset of, alright, well, this is what I'll do. I'll have sex with you. That way I can experience the ultimate death. And he wants to, like I said, he wants to finally be able to die. She's, of course, saying no. And with this hunter group coming after them, Andy's the only one protecting her. So they find themselves working together to protect one another anyway. Now, something that I want to actually take a moment to hit on are the 2 things. 1 about Fuko and 2 about Andy. 1 with Fuko, like I said, depending on the level of contact that you make, enhances the amount of the bad luck that falls on you. So just regular touch or physical contact, you're looking at a car accident, or the classic cartoon Anvil coming out of the sky. Those are some of the impacts of just physical contact. Now, the other thing that she can do is that, like I said, you get intimate with her, that enhances the catastrophe. So you could be looking at an explosion, you could be, as we saw, you could be looking at a storm, lightning bolts, things of that nature. And if it gets even more intimate to where we're talking kissing and, intimate, like sex, that's where you'll probably be looking at something astronomical. As we say with where I work at in insurance, an act of God. So that's something that happens when it comes to contact with her Unluck ability. Now we get to Andy and his undead ability. I honestly want to say with his character, he's actually more so of a very much Deadpoolish person. He's entertaining in that regard. He's very much like Deadpool. In one sense, of course, because of his playfulness and how he uses the damage that he takes to his advantage. For instance, if you blow off his legs, he can increase or decrease the speed of his regeneration. So if he enhances the speed of it, it gives like a kick or a boost to him, which allows him to either jump really high or shoot in a certain direction high speed. He even demonstrates this ability. It's kind of funny, made me think of Deku. This way, he points his finger and he can shoot the tip of his finger like a bullet, and of course it does damage that way. So it's very creative in how they have designed him to be able to use his abilities innovatively. One of the other things he does too is they show him using a sword, and he sticks that sword in through his fist, coming out of his elbow. But because of his regenerative ability, it doesn't damage him to do that. So he can sheath his blade that way, or he'll stick it in his actual shoulder and sheath it that way. I thought that was so amazing, the creativity that they put behind his abilities and how they work. One thing they did demonstrate is if something is lodged in him, it can block, function. So for instance, he has something lodged in his head which blocks out certain memories. If he removes that releases a certain amount of memory. One of those that he demonstrated in that moment was that it released memories of certain fighting abilities. So that's a cool aspect to that, which is also going to leak into, I look forward to seeing that leak into more of his actual history. From a spiritual standpoint, we're talking, should Christian be reading Undead Unluck if this dude's trying to take advantage of this young girl, especially because that plays on pedophilia, because he's some 100 years old while she's barely over the age of 18. So what is the message there? It's not to say that there is a message there, but what they are looking at is when people are looking for eternity here, when people are looking at what can we do to sustain life in this world, you think you're always going to discover something new or enjoy something more. Everyone's looking to have more. But here's something that's pointed out with the series, is that it actually reveals that there's nothing to be found in living longer. There's nothing to be found in exploring all things of the world, because all of those things will come to an end. But if you're living through it, you're just going to be suffering as you're living through this life that way. So it's better to just go ahead and die. It's better to move on, and even more so, make sure you're right when you do. Our next series is actually going to be Kaiju number 8. Now, I have to be honest, I know I'm saving Chainsaw Man for last, but Kaiju number 8 is actually my favorite of the 3 series that I'm going to be going over today. The reason being is because Kaiju number 8 is playing at one of the biggest things that Japan is famous for, which is Kaiju, which otherwise means big monster. That's where you, of course, have Godzilla. That's a lot of what they're truly famous for is Kaiju. And they're using that, of course, to make this series where there's giant monsters attacking Japan. Now, in a way to be able to defend against them and take these monsters down, they have established in this universe what's known as the Defense Force. So these two characters, Kafka Hibino and Mina Ashiro, these two characters want to become a part of the Defense Force so that they can protect their home, so that they, of course, can be the heroes that, is needed for the story, right? But the thing is, Mina Ashiro, she is the only one that ended up becoming successful in joining the Defense Force. What happened to Kafka Hibino? He ends up just being a part of the cleaning crew. A new kid named Rino Ichikawa, he joins the cleanup crew in an effort to, of course, get a start in learning about, Kaiju, learning how they work their ins and outs. But his biggest dream is to join the Defense Force as well. With him wanting to join the Defense Force and meeting up with Kafka, Kafka, of course, does that thing where, he's just discouraging it. There's no point. Why would you want to do that? You're not going to make it. Because Reno gives off this, I'm going to be the greatest, I'm going to be the best. And Kafka doesn't want him giving his hopes up. So he goes ahead and plants that seed of, you're not going to make it. Don't put yourself through that. Don't set yourself up for failure. So now Reno thinks less of Kafka at this point. So what ends up happening throughout the story is they're there to do the cleanup. As they're doing the cleanup, it turns out that this kaiju isn't dead. So this kaiju goes to attack. Kafka saves Reno. Something happens in this moment where Kafka gets bitten by what seems to be this other form of kaiju, giving him the power of a kaiju. And so he uses that power and he takes down this kaiju. As both of them go to try and train to become a part of the Defense Force. By the way, I need to make sure to sidebar, this is actually a great opportunity for Kafka because they actually extended the limited age range for you to be able to join up with the Defense Force to meet his age range. So that is what allows for him to qualify. Here's where we get this image for Kafka as well as Reno. Where do they stand physically, where do they stand mentally when it comes to doing this stuff? They're doing good when it comes to the paperwork, the test part. What's different, though, is when they have to actually enter into the field. One of the things that they bring in is they bring us this new female character. Her name is very hard to remember, but it is Hikaru Shimomiya. Hikaru Shimomiya. So with Hikaru Shimomiya, she is actually the daughter of the owner of the Defense Force, who expects perfection. So all throughout her childhood, no matter what she strived towards, she wanted to be able to celebrate that thing. But her dad was like, "You're supposed to be this good. You're my daughter." Like, so he was always expecting perfection from her. So she enters into, of course, the Defense Force training test to demonstrate that she is that perfection. So when they hit the field work, she's out there killing every monster out there. Even some of these top athletic young people that are out there, they're taking them all down, demonstrating their abilities. Wow, Kafka's really one of the testers is like, he's out there for entertainment. He gets to entertain the guys. He needs something to lighten the mood in these hard times. Like, that's how he sees Kafka. So he was really enjoying the show. But he was like, he's running out of breath. He's not able to keep up. Like, it's just kind of just a very embarrassing moment here. And of course, with Mina there as well, even though she is the top member of the Defense Force, she's there witnessing, seeing what the news look like, and she's seeing Kafka lowered. And now, the new lady, Hikaru Shimomiya, she is out there by herself after taking down the last one. This other one pops up with a humanoid form, similar to that of Kafka's transformation, and he reawakens the one that has already been killed. He regenerates and he escalates to another level of kaiju, getting bigger. So, they end up attacking her. She gets hurt, she gets damaged. She's like regretting, like losing hope in herself because she knows, I can't give up, I have to be the number one. Like, that's where her mind goes. And then this epic moment, and that's where I'm going to end it when it comes to Kaiju number 8, because this moment right here, best moment in the whole thing. The best thing about it was he pops up, he's in his transformed state, he goes to plant his feet, he pulls a One-Punch Man Saitama. These spikes come out his heels, they hit the ground. He reels back to go throw a punch on this Kaiju. And when he goes to swing, like a mouth opens on his elbow and it's like thrusters, and he knocks this thing out in one punch. I thought that was amazing. I saw the respect there they were doing with that by making it one punch. But I thought that was really funny in one aspect, but the graphics on that, the way it was designed looks amazing. It's a great read having seen that, and you know, that's what I've really enjoyed so far about this series. Kaiju number 8 is really just playing off of the gifting portion of it, because there's nothing about Kafka himself outside of his desire to help people that makes him a worthwhile character. Otherwise, he doesn't have physical strength, he can't run very long, he gives up pretty easily when he is in hard times, right? Unless when Mina is there, that's his motivation. He otherwise has no real drive. So that's kind of the letdown there, is that without this kaiju ability, Kafka is nothing. You know, he can give you a good speech, but that's about it. Like, that's all that he can give you. So that leaves me wanting just a little bit. But I otherwise truly have enjoyed Kaiju number 8. Our next series to go over and do a review on is Chainsaw Man. I want to first go ahead and recognize that the creator of Chainsaw Man, Tatsuki Fujimoto. I'm happy for you, man. Congratulations. You know, you have finally got this series to be animated now, which is supposed to be coming out in January of 2021 or February, one of the two. They have a set date for it to be released as an anime. And so many people are actually excited to see what comes out of Chainsaw Man. So I'm excited. I even made sure that I went ahead and got volume 1 of Chainsaw Man. So I am in line. I'm at least read up on this volume. I don't know if I want to read up ahead farther than volume 1, but I'm pleased with what I've read just as a fan of manga. But I want to kind of talk about it just a little bit, just to kind of give that breakdown. So you have the main character known as Denji. So Denji is a boy. He has his dog-looking demon. I think it's called Pokey. And Pokey has a chainsaw for a nose. So those two tag team to kill demons. The thing about this, though, is that Denji's father left him with a great debt, which he owed to the Yakuza. The Yakuza used Denji to kill demons to earn money, but to pay back that debt. They let him keep a little bit of it, but that's all Denji's life is full of. It's just him and Pokey working to pay off his dad's debt. Now, they both live in this very rickety small shed, and they barely can afford to eat bread on a daily basis. So the only thing that they have savored up is their relationship. Now the thing is, this leads to them being sent on a mission to take down, of course, another demon. But it turns out a demon that has these extending tentacles has possessed the entire Yakuza group, the old man that's been manipulating Denji in the first place. And they, of course, kill him and they rip Denji to shreds. And now Denji's dead. But with Denji being dead, Poki didn't want to lose his friend, so Poki sacrifices himself, fusing with Denji and giving Denji his powers. So now he's able to transfer into, you guessed it, the Chainsaw Man, with chainsaws coming out of his hands, a chainsaw coming out of his head. Now, of course, you're going to see more of that play on things where it's like anything can be demonified, which is important, actually. I actually find that very interesting now when you're thinking about it. But anything can be possessed, from tomatoes to other objects to worms to people. You know, all of these things can have a demon or be a demon. So that's something that's very important when I'm talking about the story. So that frees up your imagination to not be surprised by anything that they show to be a demon. They can get really creative if that's what they want to use and play off of. So the next point that this leads to, though, is like I said, you have Denji now fused with Poki, and they are the Chainsaw Man. So what ends up coming across here is a leader of the Demon Hunter group. Her name is Makima. She takes in Denji, offers him everything in the world that he could desire. Now, here's the thing about that, right? Denji had no other desires outside of being able to have what he had with Poki, because he wasn't exposed to, being able to have much. He wasn't given the opportunity to have more in his life, so he was just satisfied with, 1, being able to eat every day, 2, and having Poki in his life. Now we have Makima coming along here to offer him more to his life, meaning there's more that I can do, there's more that I'm capable of having. I haven't dreamed that big. So now he's trying to think bigger, and I think one of the funny things that he actually thought of, I couldn't remember if it was peanut butter and jelly or if it was like butter and jelly on bread. He just wanted that simple meal, that with bread, and he's satisfied. And Makima provides it for him, right? So it's just like he gets to think bigger for his life. Now, of course, he's thinking adolescently, being the young man that he is, minimal education, and now he's at this point where he's like, oh, I want to be able to have a girlfriend. I want to be able to touch a girl's boobs. Like, they're playing on these things. Now, I know, Christian-wise, Christian community-wise, why is this something that you can be comfortable with when reading? That's something that I actually want to talk about in another video, but when we're talking about this video, it's minimal. It's not like they're out there exposing the bodies and things of that nature and making you desire that as a main piece, but it's playing off of the adolescence of a young boy to think, I want to be able to be intimate with a woman. So they're using that towards his character development and the story. Aki Hayakawa is introduced at this point, and he is like just another one under her command. But think of him almost like just the guy that's protective over her and will do anything that she asks and thinks less of anybody else that tries to come along. That's the purpose of Aki's character. So they are sent on a mission, and he doesn't believe much of Chainsaw Man, so they're butting heads. They have that Sasuke-Naruto relationship. Even looking at their hairstyles, you can already tell that that's what they're playing on with them too. They butt heads, but then they work together, and they bring down one of the people that's possessed by a demon. They bring them down, and even more so, this kind of just shows that Chainsaw Man is worthy to do the job. So this later leads into, and this also gets towards the end of Volume 1, they introduce another character known as Power. The Power! Who is actually a blood demon. She is another demon that's here. So with there being an actual demon involved here, they're a part of the team that works under Makima. And so this demon is very strong, very powerful, like I said, using blood. And she goes to manipulate Denji to go and take on another demon that has hold over her. This demon is a bat, and this bat has taken a precious cat of hers. Now, of course, she ends up actually using Denji as a sacrifice to this bat because this bat was injured by some other demon hunters. But because he's half demon, now that he's fused with Poki, he doesn't like his blood. So now he betrays his agreement with Power, and so Power gets mad, and they end up tag teaming to take down the bat, basically, just to simplify that story. The cat that was kidnapped gets swallowed, Power ends up going inside and gets swallowed. Denji ends up saving both of them, and of course, like I said, that builds on their relationship. They give a nice flashback for Power, and the flashback that they give is where Power meets the cat, wanted to eat the cat, but sees that the cat's hungry, then she feeds him, thinking she's fattening the cat up, but because they spent so much time together, they're actually friends. And so now she's friends with the cat. I think she named him Meowie. So that shows that level of relationship. The main thing I want to go ahead and just shoot out there, not to spoil into my next video, but for this video, I want to just identify I actually like this series less than these three. It's not bad. It's just I liked it less than the other three. And here's why. I'm not a fan of series that really that heighten on, you know, mercy on demons. Because dealing with demons is not something to play with. Thinking you can befriend demons is not something to think lightly of. Or if they do somewhat encourage that with the way that Denji is. Now again, they do a great job, however, of demonstrating that Denji is ignorant to the ways of the world. One, because he doesn't know how to dream bigger. Two, because he hasn't been exposed to much to know the difference. So he doesn't know that he doesn't see demons as evil because of the friendship that he has with Poki. So that right there, if depending on how they write it, I think that can either lead down a dark road that people do need to be careful of when reading and watching it. And that's where I want to end this video, because in preparation for the upcoming weeks, I'm going to be doing my next video on, of course, demons. As you guys know, we've already started that series by doing it from the anime and manga standpoint. I'm going to come back and do it from a biblical standpoint. That way you guys can have a simplified understanding of how cautious you do need to be, what the Bible has to say about spirits, and how you do have to be careful when it comes to dealing with those types of things. Whether you're reading a book, whether you're buying, you know, stuff from a store, a vase, a table, a bed, any of these types of things, which again, credit to Chainsaw Man for identifying that anything can involve spirits and demons. You know, that's something that I look forward to mentioning in our next video. I also wanted to give some honorable mention. I started reading Burn the Witch, which is done by none other than Tite Kubo, the creator of Bleach. I definitely wanted to do some recognition there. I have 3 more series that I'm looking to get into here in the next 2 weeks to introduce some more series to you guys that will be coming out of Shonen Jump. I look forward to doing that video as well, you guys. I definitely hope to hear from you all, and let me know what y'all think of us going over Shonen Jump and their new series that are coming out. Even more so those that are about to be hitting the anime stream that you guys may or may not enjoy. So let's talk about it. Make sure you leave a comment, hit the like button if you like this video, as well as if you want more content, hit subscribe. I hope you guys have a blessed evening. Peace out.